Hello, this is Jackie B. Peterson. I'm the author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solos, Encores, and Creative Entrepreneurs, all of you in one-person businesses. This business model is distinctly different than traditional business in that we encourage you not to hire employees as a solo, but rather to outsource your work on a business-to-business relationship with other businesses who then collaborate with you and work with you to deliver your product or service of high quality and high integrity and just fabulous performance without being overwhelmed by the problems and the stresses and the structures of trying to manage a group of employees so you never have time to do the work you love. Solopreneurship is definitely the model that says, I want to make a living doing what I love. And solopreneurship then is for you, but there's things that you need to know as a solo. And that's what you'll find in Better, Smarter, Richer. Go to the website, bettersmarterricher.com, and sign up for our newsletter, join the conversation on the blog, and you can download the book and fill in the blanks workbook. You can fill in the questions and take a look at your thinking and say, oh, this is what I need to change about what I'm doing to be more successful as a solo. And, you can sign up for our online class. We offer it online through bizcenter.org, which is the Oregon Small Business Development Center network. We also offer it online through Open Sesame, and you can access both of those through the website. In the meantime, let's get to our guest. Our guest today is Julie Williams. Julie is an energetic, award-winning strategic communications consultant and the owner of Versatile Creative Consulting. Julie is passionate about communication, design, leadership, and community building. Julie's expertise is providing integrated marketing communications counsel to maturing, mission-driven businesses. That's a lot of us solos. An Oregon native, Julie is developing the Practical PR for Life book series. She serves as the VP of Professional Development for the Public Relations Society of America, Portland Metro Chapter. Julie sums up her marketing strategy as this: tell a story, make a connection, create beauty, communicate with integrity. Hello, Julie.
Hi, Jackie. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so happy. I'm so delighted to have a chance to talk with you. So, Julie, I know you're a Portland native, but tell us your story about growing up, where you went to college, and what led you into the field of strategic communications.
I'd love to. Yeah, it's quite a rarity to find people who are actually from Portland, and in fact, most of my friends and colleagues are from around the country. So it's wonderful to have been from a community that really is so inspiring creatively, in leadership, and in really having that community focus. I've lived in other parts of the country and not seen quite as much of an emphasis on local business and really giving people the opportunity to live a purpose-driven life. So I was in Portland through all the way through high school. I went to Grant High School and had the opportunity to be student body president, so got to see a lot of the city and leadership through that lens. And then I went to school in Boston. Actually, I went to Boston University for 3 semesters, and then a turning point happened, the first of many I would see in my 20s, when 9/11 struck. And being on the East Coast and really being in the heart of the city hit me that I wasn't passionate about the life that I had chosen. And so I took some time off back in Portland and then transferred to Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. So, Jackie, we share that in common as Bearcats, having a strong liberal arts degree. And the other thing I noticed that we have in common is that we both worked at the student newspaper, the Collegian.
Yes.
So I
loved
joined. Yes, I loved it too. That was really at the heart and soul of my 2 years at Willamette. And when I fell in love with journalism, decided to go to a liberal arts college to make sure that I had a diverse experience and worldview, but wanted to get as much journalism experience as I could. So I joined my junior year as a copywriter, worked my way up through as a columnist for a style column, and then a designer, and then became production manager. And that really fused my love of journalism and strategic communication that I would study in graduate school as a way to bring my talents and love of writing and being an artist together to tell a story that was really multifaceted. So in that journey, I moved back to Boston, actually, because I wanted to be a fashion magazine editor, and then decided that that industry did not align with my values and that my heart was actually still back in Oregon. And so returned to Portland about 10 years ago, and then was in the first cohort at University of Oregon's Master's in Strategic Communication and Journalism program, which I finished in 2009. And during that program, was working full-time and then taking classes in the evenings, and that's really how I launched my career in strategic communications.
Well, that's a great story. That's a great story. I love that you've spent time really looking hard at what resonated with your values, what you got passionate about. And when you said you were on the East Coast for 9/11, you know, as awful as it was for those of us on the West Coast, I think we were dialed down a few degrees of intensity than the East Coast. And I think that was such a cataclysmic event that it forced a lot of people to look at, am I really doing what I want to do? Am I doing what I'm passionate about? Am I doing what I think can make a difference? So I love that in your story. So
yeah, it was a really big moment as a 19-year-old.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, my goodness. So what made you decide to open your company, Versatile Creative Consulting? Do you love owning your own small business?
Oh, my gosh. I absolutely love owning my own business. Every day there is a point where I'm just filled with gratitude, and I look around and I think, wait a second, this is my life. I know it's a cliche, but really I need to pinch myself that I get to work with the people I do, that I run my own schedule, and honestly, I couldn't have been where I am or have the perspective of this business if I hadn't worked for so many amazing people as an employee in some really incredible companies. So I am ahead of the schedule, actually, in terms of my life plan and dreams. I entered U of O's grad program in 2007, and in my statement of intent, I said that I saw that program as really being a catalyst for the rest of my career, with the intention of opening a strategic communications consultancy in 20 years or so, figuring that I needed that much time to really get an experienced perspective under my belt. And so then a bunch of things happened throughout 2007 and 2008. I had an amazing job at AARP working with the state office. And near the end of that, in 2008, they said, we need some additional communication support. We're not able to hire you on or continue your full-time work at this point. Would you ever consider being a contractor and setting up your own business? And at that point, I thought, well, gosh, I love these guys. Yes, absolutely, I have to work with them. But was really struck by, this is happening a lot sooner than I expected. And so, as we know, what happened in 2008, besides President Obama being elected, the economy tanked, and the majority of my clients had become nonprofit organizations, and they lost a lot of their funding. And so at that point, I ended up focusing on one of my clients that was a software startup in Portland called Elemental Technologies. And then over the next 4 or 5 years, ended up doing more fuller-time contracts and then even some in-house work as I built up my toolbox. And then last year, stepped back into a full-time independent practice.
That's great. Great journey. So tell us all, what exactly is strategic communications?
Well, strategic communications is a term that's been used over the course of the last 20 years and is still evolving. Today, it's more commonly known in the communications world in relation to lobbying and public affairs, but we're seeing this shift in the economy where advertising, marketing, and PR are really blending together, and that was the premise of my grad program and a lot of the institutions around the country. And so the evolution has been toward integrated marketing communications, and when you boil that down, it's really just being strategic about all of our communications. So I see that term evolving over the next few years and really focusing on how do we be proactive instead of reactive in how we communicate ourselves, whether it's marketing or how we're running our businesses.
That makes good sense. So, and why do you see this as important for businesses today, whereas maybe it wasn't so important in the past?
Communications has always been important from what I can tell from my own experiences and then what I've read, looking at examples like Built to Last. But there's a very different shift in priorities now, and we have businesses, and ourselves included as solopreneurs, who have scarce resources. We only have so many hours in the day. We only have so many people we can subcontract out to. And that's some of the challenges that we're facing. And so being able to be really strategic and come up with a message, one message that we can craft and put into 10 different channels, really makes our time and our decision-making and our creativity and productivity more efficient. We're also seeing with our audiences, who are really more important than us at the end of the day, our customers or clients, that we need to help them focus. They have, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of different channels, and a shorter attention span as a result of that.
That's so true, isn't it? I mean, we're all trying to do so much, and we've got so much information coming at us all the time that we're really trying to get the essence of it in the sound bite, a very short period of time. We just don't give it we don't have the time to give it, to think about it and mull over it, and we have to get it quickly. So,
and it's amazing how.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's amazing how doing something as simple as using the same color in all of your marketing materials can simplify that process for your customers and your clients.
Yeah.
So the clients that I
primarily,
with it. Yes, and they can say, oh, red is AARP, or for me, how I've created a brand identity for my business is just around the texture of wood. And so whenever they see wood on my website or my blog or Twitter, hopefully they'll think, oh, that's Julie. And they can see that in other places in the world. And that wood motif comes back to that idea of integrity that I really believe in, and purpose, and being grounded in our best selves. And so those are the type of clients. Those are some of the qualities that I look for in my ideal clients. And I have found that there is this huge movement of people who are social entrepreneurs and running social enterprises that have exactly those qualities. There are people that have they're building a company that's has the heart of a nonprofit, the bottom line of a for-profit, and then in turn, impact really of a movement.
You've said that well. That's very nice. I like that. So who are your clients? Are they small businesses, or, do you focus on a particular type or area of industry, or, type of client or type of business? So who do you work with?
I work with a lot of different organizations at this point, and as some of the other solopreneurs listening probably know, often you have your ideal, and then sometimes you just have the people you work with. And you know that you can help them even though they don't fit into maybe one of your buckets of these are my specialties. And so I'm really passionate about education, and I actually spent a couple years teaching in the woods with sixth graders and high school students, along with self-improvement and leadership. That has been a really core part of my body of work. And then apparel, as I mentioned, I was a fashion columnist previously. So I focused really my work around mission-driven businesses that are working in those different spaces. So, for example, I've worked with the Multnomah Education School District, Concordia University, Oregon Health and Science University in the education area. I've worked with Win Forever, which is an amazing self-improvement platform by Coach Pete Carroll. I worked with them for a year building that platform. And then Springboard Innovation is one of my current clients that is a one-stop shop for social entrepreneurs, from funding to professional development. And then in apparel, I've worked with some really incredible companies like Nike, but then some startups like Wild Fang and Pact, which is a organic cotton apparel company. So the commonality between a lot of these businesses is that they're at a place of maturation, they're evolving, and they have a few different business models they've gone through, but they're at a point where they're ready to grow, but maybe have lost sight of some of their core values and some of their core story. And most of them know it, but they've gotten so busy with running and growing a business, they've just lost some connection. And so that's where, as a consultant, I can come in and help them unearth some of that mission.
Cool. As you know, this program has been focused on solopreneurs, and as part of that, kind of a subset, most recently, encore entrepreneurs. So is your business, are you a solo?
I am. Yes, just me. I have subcontractors, as you advocate for, Jackie. I have a designer I work with, and I've been looking for a bookkeeper, and definitely have a team to work with me and partner with. But versatile creative is.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
And it's do you like being in business that way? Do you love it? I
really do, and it is. I love
a trick question. I know you're going to say yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I love having worked in a lot of growing organizations and seeing how they are scaling their systems and departments with HR and PR and marketing, and how things are getting splintered. I really love being able to have a full picture of the business, but I also love having reminders from people like you, Jackie, and Sean Harry, my amazing business advisor through the Small Business Development Center, and people to remind me to say, if this is going to take you 4 hours on doing a spreadsheet, and you could spend that 4 hours doing billable work, have somebody else do it.
Yes.
So I do, and so I do have some coaching clients that I have. Another one of Jackie's recommendations that I absolutely agree with, and there's been some amazing blog posts from Freelancers Union recently about how to build a diverse portfolio of work. And so I have multiple streams coming in. In addition, the main piece I do is the consulting work, but in addition to that, doing training, speaking, writing, and then coaching to help some solopreneurs think about their business strategically. And then hopefully in a few years when they're growing and expanding, we can come in and do a full-fledged strategy together.
So let's talk about strategy. I think you're that's one of the words that you use a lot, and, it's very, very important, strategic communications. And, you've said your strategy is, and I love this, by the way, I just love your strategy, is these 4 points. It's tell a story, make a connection, create beauty, and communicate with integrity. So what's the essence of that strategy, and why do you think it makes a difference in strategic communications?
So I think that those 4 points, they're not necessarily things that I have uniquely come up with, but combining them is the strategic idea and putting those pieces together. And at the core of that is that last piece of communicate with integrity, and that actually is more of an onion and has other layers beneath that, because just saying, I communicate with integrity, well, what does that really mean? And what does integrity really mean? In my study, both my spiritual study and my consulting practice, I have come across this idea of integrity that's actually derived from the Chinese character, which has multiple layers of meaning. And that meaning is represented in my 4-step integrity-driven approach of consider the whole, speak from the heart, do the right thing, and do it well. And in the Chinese character, there are pieces of the character that represent those ideas of action and heart and having an open eye. And so I really found in my study of this, wait a second, that's exactly what we should be doing in communication. By considering the whole, we look at the strategy and we look at where does my business fit into the bigger scheme of things. And then when we're authentic about and know who we are, we can just really speak from the heart, and we don't even have to come up with advertising campaigns, because we're just telling our truth and people connect to that. And then doing the right thing and do it well are interconnected. And doing the right thing isn't just, is this ethical, which is very important to me, but also, is it the right channel to communicate with this audience? Are my listeners going to podcasts as a resource for information? And if they are, then I can do the right thing by putting my resources out there. And then do it well. Do it to the best of your ability. Do things excellently, because in this world where we have so much noise, what is the point of putting something out there if it's not excellent and it's not serving a useful purpose?
Oh, that's just fabulous. I love it. There's a whole philosophy basically that you are within which you are offering strategic communications consulting. There's the framework within it, and I'm sure that it plays with selecting your projects, selecting your clients, and then how you deliver your work. And, that you're holding yourself to the standard and thereby modeling it for your clients, and what you deliver to them also holds to these standards. Makes what you have to say worth hearing, is what I think, Julie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I hope,
yeah.
maybe it's really optimistic, but I hope that this could be a standard that we could all live up to. And if anything, that this consulting practice wouldn't even be necessary, because these would be business rules that we follow.
And, this is also a fabulous antidote to all of the noise and confusion that is out there. Yabber, 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 yabber all the time. And here it sounds like this is a point of light, that we're doing something well, we're doing it with integrity, we're, speaking our truth, we're creating beauty in the world, we're excited about our product, we're delivering a good product and a good service that's worth your attention. And I'm a great optimist and think that doing the right thing wins out. So how fabulous. So of all of these points, where do you see your clients really struggling?
It's hard to say. I think my clients struggle everywhere. On the one hand, they're wildly successful, but then on the other hand, there's always the struggle, or not always. I guess why I say it like that is because I've seen it with myself, my own business, and then with all of the clients that I've worked with and businesses I've been inside, that once you get inside your own sort of tunnel vision, it can be really hard to see your own story and tell your own story, to make those connections, even though that should be the simplest thing possible if you're being passionate, to create something beautiful when you have deadlines and you have budget, and then to do the right thing and be communicating with integrity. But the one piece that I've been hearing recently from a lot of solopreneurs, and there's one story that I love of my friend, Casey Dawn Birch, who is the owner of Portland Grind, a small business in Portland, Oregon. And she said that she was feeling conflicted about how to celebrate her 5th anniversary of the coffee shop, and then just decided that she was going to share her truth about what the experience had been like. And so she did this long post on Facebook, and she said she was really not sure if she was crossing the line about being too personal in talking about her love of the business and growing it and how it's affected her own life and growth of her family. And she got this outpouring of love and support, and then all the stuff that as marketers we likes and shares and all that stuff, by just telling her story. And that really didn't require a consultant. It didn't require a marketing specialist. It was just her speaking from the heart.
I think the hope that you've talked about in all of this is our move to the business model of solopreneurship, where we're acting on our own in the interest of our clients and delivering a quality service or product, because, boy, the word gets out there pretty quickly if you're not being in our truth and being in our integrity. I think the hope is that we are tearing down the old hierarchies that couldn't meet these standards, because they pretty soon get into power games and money games, and CYA communication rather than truthful communication, and people trying to position themselves all the time to look good and all that. And I really believe that the hope you're talking about of a change in communication is riding right along with the move to solopreneurship. I've been telling people we just got the statistics from the SBA, Small Business Administration, for the year 2011 in Oregon, and they named that there are over 332,000 small businesses, which by their definition is 500 or fewer employees. So I keep saying, oh, my God, that's every employer in Oregon,
Right.
Out of that 332,000 small businesses, 259,000 of them are solos. They do not have employees, which is about 75% of the small business total. And to me, who is just so passionate about the benefits and values of solopreneurship, I see that move goes along with people taking the risk, speaking their truth, delivering a better product, delivering it with integrity. Because when you're by yourself, there's no place to hide. If you're not doing a good job and you're not doing it well and with integrity and part of your passion coming through and delivered with emotion and with care and with reverence about what you're doing and care for your client, you're just not going to be in business. So I'm very hopeful. From that standpoint.
Yes.
It's like, yeah. So, this is, what are you seeing as that make our communication skills even more important for businesses today? I mean, I just kind of gave a speech about that, but how do you read that in what you're doing?
Well, I think you were speaking to. I wasn't aware of those numbers, and so it's great to know that.
Stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's what's amazing. I mean, yes, it is amazing. I guess maybe not surprising at how fast the world is changing, and how we're seeing economies of scale change at a rate like never before. And having worked in technology previously, and see that is rampant, and there's laws around that, but to see just how there's this effect, and like you talked about, of the number of solopreneurs, and a lot of those being knowledge workers, which is another term and space that is growing hugely, and that's people like me, people who are consulting and whose product is really our ideas and our opinions and how we can help other people run their businesses. And also creative developers. And that has just grown exponentially since World War II and since the shift really away from a manufacturing economy. And there's actually going to be a speaker in Portland on Wednesday the 9th over at Hatch, which is where I have my office that's run by Springboard Innovation. This gentleman's name is Aaron Hurst, and he just wrote this book called The Purpose Economy. And it is all about how individuals are shifting to purpose-driven jobs that help their community and realize their offering to the world and help them self-actualize. And a big piece of that is this sense of community. And Portland, we've been thinking in a communal, collective way for a really long time in terms of, we have our yoga community, or you have your Southeast neighborhood community. But this other piece that's entering into play is that can be exclusive. That can leave people out. And there's really big trends in communication around relationships. And to me, relationships are all about being inclusive. And so how can we bridge and make connections, and how can we collaborate and work together to have a greater impact? And so as relationships and engagement and our core values that we have in these shared relationships become more important, so does our ability to communicate well and to listen, and just some of those sort of personal life skills around communication that then we also can use in how we communicate about our businesses.
Yes, I think there's big changes afoot, and you're certainly seeing them just like I'm seeing them. And as I say, I think there's huge hope in this change in shape of the economy, that it, as we move from, the old structures to the solo businesses. And, it's going to push, as you talk about, push people into being, speaking their truth more and speaking with integrity. And clearly, back to your lady from Portland Grind telling her story, we are all hungry for meaning. We're all hungry for purpose. We all want to think that we're doing something and see that we're doing something that just plain makes a difference. And I just think we're at the tip of that iceberg. So moving back to Versatile Creative Consulting, what specific services do you offer your customers?
So I focus most of my time around strategic planning, so doing a lot of market research and audience analysis, and that's where the public relations comes into play in terms of planning around the mission, the vision, really the brand identity, which is way more than a logo, and it's really that core story about the brand. And then some of the plans go all the way through into an integrated marketing communications plan. And as part of that, I find that there's actually about a half of the planning work has to do with providing counsel. And like we talked about before, really finding the answers that already lie within these business owners and finding that core vision, that moment that lit them up about trying to go off and do this venture, and reconnecting with that in order to develop any of the other communications related to their business.
Oh, that's fabulous. So how do your clients find you? What kind of marketing do you do for you?
I do. Most of my marketing is around me as a solopreneur, and is around helping people get connected to Julie and the work I do. And if there is a connection there and there is a sense of somebody wanting to work with somebody who's fun and proactive and connecting the dots, then they will choose me in a sense. So I rely on word of mouth for most of my business. So people have either heard of me through somebody else or they've met me. And so some of the ways that I go about meeting as many people as possible are going to a lot of networking events in Portland across a lot of different industries. And then volunteering is really important to me, but also as a way to really get connected and give back to the community. So I've been a member of the Public Relations Society of America for the last 5 years and a participant in the board for the last 4. And then I find that I get a lot of referrals through some groups that I've been cultivating in the last year around my creative entrepreneur friends. And so I belong to a mastermind group with Moxie, Women with Moxie, and then there's another mastermind group that I created called Hive with a few friends of mine. And in them, having these peers that are ingrained in my business, they can better speak to that and essentially do business development for me, just like I can do it for them. So there's not,
cool.
So it's kind of ironic that I don't do a lot of traditional marketing that I recommend that my clients do, such as having a website and having a really active blog and doing social media. I do some of those pieces, but I find that really I'm selling myself and my ideas, and since that's so high touch, the best strategy for getting business is to connect people to me. And so the big shift, I guess, that I've seen, and I would encourage other solopreneurs to do, is to not separate the personal and professional. And so nowadays, I pretty much dress the same way as I would go to a client meeting as when I go to Freddy's to do my grocery shopping, because there's just as high of a likelihood that I'm going to run into a prospective client or customer out in the world in the rest of my life as in my professional activities.
That's really true with all of the internet and all the hundreds of e-tools and all the, the rise and the communication that goes on. We talk about being on 24/7. So that's been my experience as well, that you are just as likely to run into, I was up at the hot springs on Sunday with a friend of mine and ran into some clients, and you're just as likely to run into people there as you are, in an office at a meeting. And it's So I like that. Don't separate your business and your personal sides. When I went into business, that was not the rule at all, and it was a matter of there's the business you and then there's the personal you, and the two should not mix. And, that doesn't work anymore. We don't live our lives.
No,
that way anymore.
exactly, and especially with online. I mean, up until a year ago, I had a very strict line of I LinkedIn to my professional colleagues, and I was Facebook friends with my friends, people I'd had life experiences with. And in the last year, I've realized that I don't even have the bandwidth to separate them. It's more of even a resource, question. And so I've just stopped doing that. And I really am blending the worlds, and I not really caring about how I connect with somebody, whether it's email, on Twitter, on Facebook, through Tumblr, or in person.
Yeah, exactly. So, Julie, I understand you're working on a book. Do you want to talk about that? What is it, and who's your audience, and tell us about your book.
I am. I would love to tell you about the book series. Actually, when I started working on this, I thought it was one book, and then have realized that it's actually a series of books, and that will take a series of years. So the book series is called Practical PR for Life, and it's really a blend of my personal experience. So it's a nonfiction book with a self-help genre. And I went through a series of really disruptive experiences in my 20s and had a series of moments that ended up actually being really defining about who I was. And the 9/11 is one of them, and some of the others have been, getting laid off or getting diagnosed with a disease, and had this experience but didn't have any resource to go to. And so, like many authors, I'm really writing the book that I wanted to have for myself. And
yes.
When I looked at my experience, and as being part of the millennial generation, that's really the audience for this, we are seeing this unprecedented rate of change that we are not emotionally prepared to deal with, and not only unprepared emotionally, but also in our life skills, our communication skills. And so each of the books focuses on a different area of life and looks at how we can do personal PR, learn communication skills, and read and share empathetic life stories to navigate more successfully through those experiences. So I've been working on PR for work, and then some of the others are PR for family, PR for death, PR for babies.
Oh, what a good idea. That's really good.
It's been a
I think
fun
that's
project.
wonderful, and I really salute you for combining your thoughts and your experiences and what you've learned from your experiences with into a series of books. And I agree. That's exactly what I did, is wrote the book. I couldn't find, and I was looking for the information. And when I wrote Better, Smarter, Richer, it was because for a long time I had looked for a book to work with my clients, and I just couldn't find it. And so I said, okay, I'm writing the book I want to be able to use with my clients because nobody's doing this. So I guess it's up to me, So back to talking about small businesses a bit. What do you see that most small businesses overlook in their marketing efforts?
Well, that's a funny follow-up question, actually, because I would say that the piece that most small business owners and solopreneurs overlook is their family. And that's something that has become a huge aha for me, was to realize that, I have a personal network, not just a professional network, but I have a personal network from my whole life, and then actually extends beyond me. But coming back to Portland and choosing that as my hometown and my base, even at the disadvantage of it being a much smaller media market, was that I realized that I had my mom's connections and my dad's connections and my siblings' connections, and that I had this huge network of support for me, and also really a ready and active sales force. And I have found that the people who most want to talk about me and see me succeed are my family. And so something I've been working on around personal PR is to make sure that my family is equipped with the tools of how can you get in touch with me, what is Julie's elevator pitch, what does she do, and really they're the ones who are often emailing me and saying, hey, you might want to work with this guy. and bringing me qualified leads.
I'm just grinning. You can't see me grinning on the radio, but I'm just thrilled that you're doing that. I've always told my clients that one of the ways that they get in trouble in their business is what I call mission creep, which is taking on things that they really should not be doing, and that most of the time mission creep offers or opportunities, also known as distractions, come before you is their ideas that come up from people that know you well and don't clearly understand what you do, but they hate to see you struggle, so they're looking for ways to help you out. And, quite often they're off the mark. They're inappropriate to what you really ought to be doing on and what you ought to be focusing on. But that this is the way for you to say, uh-oh, I am not being clear to the people who support me and love me and want to see me successful about what I do and what I'm looking for. And so what you have to do is go back and say, thank you for, that idea, and this is what I am really looking for, and it gives you an opportunity to practice your elevator speech or your unique value proposition as I talk about it, and say, these are the kind of opportunities I'm really seeking. So it's kind of like a bellwether that if you're getting, inappropriate ideas from the people that love you, you say, oops, I must not be speaking clearly, and go back and clear it up. I love that.
I know, and what better, cheaper way to do market research than your Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, and each year checking in. I had a moment where I realized that this was really an issue when my dad was introducing me to some good friends, and he said, this is my youngest daughter, Julie, and she's a communicator. And I looked at him and I said, well, Dad, you can say writer. But it just occurred to me that he didn't have, and because I do something that didn't exist 30 years ago, and that's continuing to be as we build our own careers and start our own businesses, we really are carving out these new market niches that we have to educate people about. And so my family has been incredibly supportive and listening and asking probing questions, and then letting me repeat these messages. And when I see their eyes light up, or when I'm at a family event and I overhear them talking about me, and they hit every talking point, then I know I've succeeded.
Absolutely. Very smart. So do you have a couple of pieces of advice or some must-do tips for our listeners who are also trying to grow their businesses?
I do actually. I have a million pieces of advice that I've gotten from some phenomenal mentors that I've had in my life. And I also am a really big fan of reading, hence writing and reading kind of go hand in hand. And one of the things that really really changed things for me recently was reading a book as research for my other book that I'm writing. And that book is The First 30 Days. It's by Ariane de Bonvoisin, which means good neighbor in French. And her book is all around what you do when you're navigating change, which we're always doing, and how the first 30 days are the most important time. And she advises that you create a support team of people who are positive and who are role models. They're already living the change that you're growing into. And so I looked around at my world recently and realized that I really needed to create a support team of other solopreneurs and other people, writers and other creatives and people who are living the life that I wanted to be really successful at. And that is a piece of advice that has been crucial to me. And so I find that the people who are negative or who are opportunistic but not strategic, or that are just moving too slowly, I've just been finding a different way to connect with them instead of having them be so close to what I do.
Yeah, good advice. That's some good advice. So we're winding down here, and but I want to know, do you have any stories you can tell us about how or when your consulting really made a huge difference for your clients?
Sure. Yeah. Oh gosh, there are a few stories that I love, and that's when I know I've succeeded as a consultant, is when I can see a 180-degree shift of we were doing it this way and now we want to do it this way. And I guess one of my favorites is with a company that is called Yoga for All. And this is a company that was focusing on clinical work with kids with autism and special needs and using yoga as a form essentially of physical therapy to help these kids be more successful. And when I was working with that small business owner, she was looking at how she wanted to grow and evolve, and like we talked about, had been doing this for a few years, and realized that had this big moment of realizing that her business could be something more of not just what can I do with my special expertise in this population and combining my skills and helping these kids individually, but there actually could be a way that what I do could enable as much change as possible by being a leader in this field instead of just being a practitioner. And so seeing her kind of overnight shift toward, wow, I really need to be teaching other people. I need to be a thought leader in the field, writing, sharing all of this knowledge so that I can help as many kids as possible instead of just attending to them on a one-to-one basis. And that is exactly the purpose-driven, we can change the world together mentality that I'm hoping to inspire in my clientele.
Oh, that's a great story. I love that. So when what you're really saying to us is when you're bringing something new to the world like she was, it's, you can affect just a small group of clients that you deal with, or you can teach other people what you've learned and really make a difference in the wider world. And that's what you were coaching her to do, and what your communications, your strategic communications is all about. And so you hit a wider circle. I think that's a wonderful thing for you to be coaching your clients to do. Woohoo! Get the world moving.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're really close to the end of our discussion. We're about out of time. So I know that we've got people in the audience that want to connect with you. Would you like to let them know how?
Absolutely. I would definitely love to connect with any of the audience members or any of their friends, because as we know, we all have a huge network. So please feel free to email me. You can reach me at julie@versatilecreative.co. That's the best way to be in touch with me, and within a hopefully short time span, I will get back to you. If you'd like to learn more, not just immediately, but in the future, go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. You can go to my website and my blog, which is versatilecreative.wordpress.com. And then if the piece that you were really inspired by was Practical PR for Life and you want to stay in touch with that journey and grow along with me on that path, go ahead and check out our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/practicalprforlife.
All right. Sounds wonderful. That's great. Well, I certainly appreciate you being on the show today, and I've had a wonderful discussion. And I want to remind our listeners that you are listening to Solo Pro Radio, and this is your host today, Jackie B. Peterson. I'm the author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solo, Creative, and Encore Entrepreneurs. It's just another growing field in solopreneurship. And I also want to remind you of some coming dates. Check out our calendar on the website. But there's some coming dates this fall. On September 2nd, we are going to launch our next Better, Smarter, Richer study group. It's a cohort of students who use the Better, Smarter, Richer book, and it's a workbook, and you fill out the answers to questions, and you come to the study group and talk about, I like to say this, we discuss your challenges, your ahas, your findings and insights, and your yeah buts. We all have those, don't we? Have to kind of get our thinking lined up with what's going to make a difference to your solo business. On September 11th, we are launching our Encore Entrepreneur Program at the Portland Community College Small Business Development Center with a new program we're called Building Your Business Concept. On September 17th, we're going to have a symposium at the at the Klein Center with Better, Smarter, Richer, talking about the principles of solopreneurship. On September 30th, I will be in Medford talking about the principles of solopreneurship, also at the SBDC. And on November 8th, I'm going to be in Eugene on a panel with AARP, and we're talking about retirement, and I will be talking about Encore entrepreneurship. So many, many places to catch up with us in the coming months. Have a great day today. Tune in with us again next week. We'll have another great conversation with one of our fabulous solopreneurs. Take care. Goodbye.